all of this. So the main topic is it's not emotional weakness, it's brain inflammation due to chronic stress. That's amazing. We're going to talk about this topic today. And I better start reading this disclaimer, like always. The following information is not intended to be a substitute of professional medical advice. Okay? It is only for informational, educational purposes based on preventive medicine. We're going to try not to show any commercial products or shown or suggest anything on this presentation. And if you think anything that we say today suggests you to have a problem, please search for a professional in the health care area to diagnose and treat any medical condition. Okay, this being said, I'm going to give you my first advice today. Cultivate a positive mental attitude. Cultivate a positive mental attitude. Why did I say this? Because we have, I'm not sure if you see all this slide, we have what we call dimensions of wellness. Okay, wellness is not only your gut health or your cardiovascular health. No, we have dimensions of wellness, and it's been studied since 2017, and it's called Dimensions of Wellness. Change your habits, change your life. Believe me, wellness has to do with emotional wellness, with occupational wellness, intellectual wellness, environmental wellness, financial wellness, social wellness, physical wellness, and spiritual wellness also. It's not only health as you think it is. It's a whole environment. It's a whole cycle. And every area is linked together. How many people you know that has an amazing physical wellness? They are sport people, they go to the gym, or they do this and that, and maybe they are good in their social area, wellness social area, but financially, there's no wellness in their finances. There's no wellness maybe in their occupational or intellectual or spiritual. So the balance, the homeostasis is the main thing for to have an overall health, an overall wellness and well-being and well-being. So this being said, as you all know, stress in modern life is something else. Let me show you something here. Um, the thing is that stress in modern life, stress ceased to be an on and off event and became a permanent state. We live in alert mode. We live at an accelerated pace of life. We also have constant work and have cognitive demands. We also have lack of real rest, and we also have chronic uncertainty in life. So when you have uncertainty in your future, then you're stressed, right? So stress is to be an on and off event. It became a permanent state. And stress goes from adaptive mechanism to a health problem because we need stress. It's one of the most important elements and assets that we have to survive. It's adaptive for us. But stress is not the enemy. Acute stress is physiological, it's adaptive, activates coping mechanisms. The thing is that the main problem, as you see that rocking the head of the guy, is that chronic stress without recovery. Sustained activation of an axis, HPA active, from hypothalamus to pituitary to adrenal gland. It's an axis that controls all of this, and we're gonna talk about this a little bit later. Stress doesn't go away, it's permanent, and it continues day after day after day. And it undermines your health little by little. It undermines your health little by little until what happens when stress doesn't go away? There's a lot of physiological changes and physiology on chronic stress. There's a lot of it. For example, your cortisol, persistent, it maintains elevated. Your sympathetic, your adrenaline is elevated. Your sleep is disturbance. Increased in systemic chronic inflammation. It's a daily basis, and the main result right now is that the body enters a permanent low degree inflammatory state, according to all of those things that I just mentioned: the cortisol, adrenaline, the sleep disturbances, and also the increase in systemic chronic inflammation. So this is what happens when stress doesn't go away. And we also need to understand that stress and brain are closely related because there is the origin of the problem. For example, why chronic stress? Chronic stress, when it doesn't goes away, it activates microglia. Microglia is like the immune system of your brain. It's like the soldiers of your brain that when they felt inflammation, they act. But when it's permanent inflammation, they started to cause problems. They started to cause inflammation by itself. Your own immune system increases pro-inflammatory cytokines and also generates oxidative stress. And what's the result? Low-grade chronic neuroinflammation. Not only general inflammation, but neurological inflammation. And I need to tell you that it's not, again, the topic, it's not emotional weakness. It's not emotional weakness. The common symptoms that we have, the brain fog, the anxiety, the irritability, low mood, cognitive fatigue, anguish, depression, that's the common symptoms of what we said. I am emotionally weak. No, you're not emotionally weak. These symptoms are not a lack of character. They are biological expression of an inflamed brain. What I told you right in the beginning, the inflamed brain, it's a manifestation of an inflamed brain. But we all think that we have something bad on our heads. No, it's not that. It's biological, believe me. So when I understand all of this, the thing is that at a systemic level, we have an increased also peripheral inflammation because of the neuroinflammation. This also enhances the rest of the body inflammation. For example, we could measure it with a CRP test, the C-reactive protein, which, by the way, we're going to have a challenge or with all of the markets throughout the world. It's going to be amazing. It's going to be released the information starting next week, and measuring this will give us a parameter to tell the people it's not only what I think I felt, it's based on a result of inflammation, because the CRP, especially the high sensitivity one, is the one that we use to measure low degree chronic inflammation. And you're gonna felt in between the first and the 90-day how your inflammation is slowing down and you are performing a lot better than you were when you started. So it's going to be an amazing asset that we're all going to have. So at the systemic level, the CRP goes up, the insulin resistance day by day, Metabolic syndrome, another problem that's very, very common. Metabolic syndrome is from when the insulin resistance appears. The metabolic syndrome determines the raised on cholesterol, triglycerides, fatty liver, and all this metabolic problem that drives you to pre-diabetes or diabetic or complications. Okay, chronic fatigue is another symptom. So the swollen brain amplifies inflammation in the rest of the body. It's not the brain is here and the body is here. No, we are integrated. When we have a swollen brain, it amplifies inflammation in the rest of the body. Okay, so it's not just emotional. And understand this: NIMS, neuroimmune metabolic syndrome. Okay, neuro, brain, immune, your immune system, metabolic, your metabolic system, syndrome. It describes the convergence of chronic low-grade inflammation with metabolic dysfunction that I just mentioned, insulin resistance, obesity, overweight, whatever you call it, and neuroinflammation. They walk hand by hand. Stress makes you fat. Stress inflames you. Stress blocks your recovery. Stress, even if the person does everything else right, maybe they eat well, maybe they do exercise, maybe they do everything else okay, but if you're chronic stressed, you are going to be inflamed and you're going to have a problem with this syndrome. You're going to be maybe obese, you're going to be maybe overweight, or have a lot of problems of your health. So I don't need you to understand all of this short, but we have three pathways: neural pathways, the neurological pathway, the immune pathway, and the endocrine pathway. Okay, the three of these pathways interact by themselves and crosses the blood-brain barrier and activate the neuroinflammation, and back also the feedback goes to a systemic inflammation, and this came back again to a neuroinflammation, and it's a perfect cycle. That perfect cycle of neuroimmune metabolic syndrome that could be triggered by stress, it started from left down with oxidative stress, protein aggregation, proteolysis dysfunction, leaky gut, remember? The permeable gut, metabolic disorders in lipids and glucose, peripheral inflammation, and then penetrates the BBB, the blood-brain barrier, a blood-brain barrier disruption, and ends up in neuroinflammation and neuron loss. That's the cycle. Just to put it in a simple way, it's complex, but just to make it simple, this is like the process. All the stress cycle, it affects everything in your body, okay? So the neuroscience updates in 2024, they say, okay, behavioral strategies for stress relief includes healthy diet, social support, mindfulness, journaling, time management, laughing, exercise, good sleep. This impacts a part of your brain that's called the hypothalamus. It's part of this axis. It impacts the pituitary gland that is the one responsible to activate cortisol or endorphins. So if it impacts bad, it's going to raise cortisol and pull down the endorphins, which are the messengers or the hormones that of happiness and activity and laughter. But the cortisol is the ones that puts your metabolism very slow and gets you depressed and anxious and puts you in an anxiety, stress life. So This is the behavioral strategies for stress relief. Okay, so we need to talk about one more thing: the microbiota and the energy efficiency. Why the microbiota? As I told you, the microbiota is in the brain, gut, endocrine axis. Okay, so some bacteria, for example, extracts more calories from food and promotes fat storage. Some others improve energy expenditure and supports metabolic sensitivity. So you need to be very careful on your microbiota. Okay? Very careful, because the lack of homeostasis, which is called dysbiosis, and weight gain is very related. The metabolic inflammation produces resistance to fat loss, decrease in bacterial diversity, increase in pro-inflammatory bacteria, increase in intestinal permeability, leaky gut, and entry of toxicity and pro-inflammatory molecules into your bloodstream ends up in a metabolic inflammation that produces resistance to fat loss. So this is very integrated, as you could see. Low-grade metabolic inflammation, for example, chronic activation of the immune system, interferes with insulin, satiety hormones, and fat oxidation, the three of them. And inflammation, microbiota, and appetite hormones are linked also. These are signals that regulates hunger, for examples. So the influence on leptin, ghrelin, and GLP-1, we're going to talk about that because it's been said a lot of things about this outside, and I need you to have the correct information, the precise one. Okay? Hungrier, less satiety, and persistent cravings are the result of inflammation and microbiota disorder called dysbiosis that alterates this appetite hormones called leptin, ghrelin, and GLP-1. I'm going to talk about each one of them very, very fast. It is a hormone, leptin, that produced mainly by adipose tissue. It works as a signal of energy sufficiency to the hypothalamus. When fat stores are adequate, leptin increases and decreases appetite automatically. The brain sends a signal, it's a signaling molecules, decreases appetite, increases energy expenditure, and promotes satiety. Okay, this is the first one. There's something called leptin resistance. Could you believe me that leptin resistance has things to do, like, for example, it's common in overweight and obesity and inflamed people, and that the brain does not correctly interpret the society's signal perpetuating hunger and energy storage. Did you know that chronic low-grade inflammation correlates with leptin resistance? Okay, now you know something new. Now you know something new. Number two, ghrelin. Ghrelin, it is known as the hunger hormone. It is mainly produced in the stomach and increases before meals. Okay? Before a meal, the ghrelin, whoa, goes up. Why? Because you're hungry. Its functions includes stimulate appetite foraging, promoting energy storage, and apparently its dysfunction also correlates with inflammation. So what's going to happen when we understand that all of this has to do with chronic low degree inflammation? I'm going to show you at the end of the presentation. GLP-1, there's a lot of things being said about GLP-1. There are three of them: GLP-1, GLP-2, and a GIP. It's three of them, but the main one, the GLP-1, is the glucagon-like peptide type 1. Okay, GLP-1, it's G, glucagon, L, like, and P, peptide. Okay, so It is an incretin secreted in the intestine after eating food. You eat food, the GLP-1 is being extracted. It has very relevant metabolic effects. For example, it increases glucose dependent on insulin secretion. It reduces glucagon release. What is glucagon? What is glucagon? Glucagon is a peptide hormone produced in the pancreas that rapidly raises blood sugar levels. Remember this. Glucagon raises blood sugar levels. Insulin, it brings down blood sugar levels. Insulin allows the sugar in your bloodstream enters the cell and become energy. Okay? Okay. So another thing GLP-1 is entitled of is delays gastric emptying, increases the feeling of satiety, and GLP-1 directly connects the gut to the brain and to the pancreas. Brain-gut metabolic axis. The GLP-1 is right in the center, directly connects the gut to the brain and to the pancreas. So this being said, curcumin appears. According to curcumin, a study by the Food Research of Nutritional Molecular Nutrition in 2023, very recent, curcumin compensates GLP-1 deficiencies. Preclinical studies gave us a data that shows that curcumin can stimulate GLP-1 secretion in enteroendocrine cells, improve pancreatic function, supports glycemic control, and in humans, evidence suggests an indirect facilitating effect, especially in states of metabolic resistance. Oh, again curcumin. Yes, again curcumin. Also, GLP-1 and probiotics are very close. So we need to focus in curcumin, but also don't forget probiotics, because it is the best documented effect that bacterial fermentation produces short-chain fatty acids. This stimulates intestinal cells, increasing the release of GLP-1. So it's two ways to get to GLP-1. Improve satiety, insulin sensitivity, and glycemic control. Certain strains of lactobacillus and bifidobacterium have been associated with this effect, such as the ones that especially the people from the US and Latin America have available of the symbiotic Symbiofy, okay? If you don't have a probiotic or prebiotic in your markets provided by us, but look for one. There's a bunch of them. Maybe not as good as the one we have, but look for one is going to give you a real hand on this. So this came from a study of 2021 where they said probiotics have effects on appetite-related hormones in overweight and obese individuals. So putting all this together, functions of GLP-1. I'm not going to mention all of them. Just see how GLP-1 is related according to this 2024 study in the pancreas, in the heart, in the lungs, in your tongue, taste sensitivity, in your liver, in your adipose tissue, in your kidneys. In your kidneys, the natriuresis is the release or the elimination of sodium and excess of water to regulate hypertension, for example, the raise of your arterial tension. So, just to mention one, bone and muscle related to stomach, related to your brain. It's amazing. This is amazing molecule, and our nanocurcumin and our Symbiofy, both of them has a lot to do with the results that we all obtain from this. That's why a lot of people is, okay, I feel this, but how do I feel? all of those things in the brain, in the stomach, in the liver, in the lungs, in the kidneys. How could this be possible? Because we go right to the cell. We go right to the signaling molecules that represents the main problem. We don't treat symptoms. We don't take care of symptoms. We don't support the symptoms. We support all of these signaling molecules, which your own body took care of the problems. Okay. Then, in summary, curcumin improves the metabolic and inflammatory environment that regulates leptin, GLP-1. Yes. Probiotics act directly on the gut society hormone axis. Yes. So you have the whole package. You have the whole package. You have the understanding of what is going on with you. So all of these consequences of chronic stress on the brain are closely related with obesity, closely related with everything that we're talking right now. Less hippocampal neurogenesis means less of the brain's ability to renew, to learn, and to remember. Memory, concentration, brain fog. Remember, alteration of neurotransmitters, decreased neuronal plasticity, reduction of hippocampal neurogenesis, impaired emotional regulation drove us to all of these problems that I just mentioned. So what can we do? That's a big question. What can we do? Okay, we need to reduce all refined sugars in our diet, pro-inflammatory diets, ultra-processed food, trans fats, alcohol, sleep deficit. We need to take care of us. There's only one body. This is not a suit. Okay, I'm done with this suit. You put it, you hang it and you take another one. No, we just have one suit for the whole life. You're going to be living inside this one for the rest of your life. Take good care of it. Recommended foods for stress neuroinflammation, there's a lot of them. Fatty fish, leafy greens, red and purple fruits and colored fruits, healthy fats, magnesium-rich foods, fermented foods, anti-inflammatory spices like curcumin and ginger, just to mention one or two. Curcumin neuroinflammation, science-based nutritional support. Modulates NF-κB, an inflammatory cytokine. The main function of NF-κB regulates the expression of genes that involves inflammation, immune response, and cell survival in your brain. Reduces microglial activation. Remember the microglial response and became a problem when it is chronic inflammation? It reduces all of it, and it decreases also brain oxidative stress. It was published by the end of 2025, curcumin modulation of the gut-brain axis for neuroinflammation and metabolic disorders, prevention and treatment, nutrients. It's been published. It's not me. I just made the research and I am giving it to you. Okay? You could take a picture and you go there and read the papers. Curcumin and brain-derived neurological function, plasticity and neuroprotection. The brain-derived neurological factor, experimental evidence shows that curcumin increases the BDNF expression, supports synaptic plasticity, and contributes to neural resilience. Okay, it's very important also. It's been in reports that curcumin reverses cognitive deficits, that the diet enriched with curcumin promotes resilience to chronic social defeat stress. It's been all over the science publications, the science area, and it's over there. I'm telling you nothing new. But remember, conventional curcumin is not the solution, because it's very the absorption is very low at intestinal level, very little reaches the blood, very low bioavailability, very little reaches to tissues. much less the brain, very, very much less the brain. It couldn't cross the blood-brain barrier, and it is eliminated from the body very, very quickly. The result, you don't get the maximum benefits. Even it being amazing food, but the thing is, you couldn't get the best of it. So the answer is micellar nano curcumin. You see this that I have in my hand? Let me see if I could put it. You see this? Okay, this is the micellar nano curcumin molecule. Okay, with BioMS. The thing is that it provides better intestinal absorption, better bioavailability, rich the fabrics, increased brain action potential, more action time, better tolerance. Result, it works. In one word, it works. Okay, it gives you what it's supposed to give you. It's a nanomicellar curcumin. Okay, so don't hesitate. Do you want to enjoy these benefits? 10 drops a day at least. You could raise it to 15 or 20, 10 in the morning, 10 at the end of the day. If you are chronic inflamed or you have a CRP, high CRP test, a blood test, or if you have a complication of or health issues, it's going to be needing a better support because the needs are higher. Okay. What else? Okay, just one more thing here that I need to add. Stress and neuroinflammation isn't just about relaxing. A lot of people say, okay, let's relax. No, stress, neuroinflammation, isn't just about relaxing. It's about nourishing the brain so that inflammation can be turned off. Okay, so now you're saying, okay, but okay, Dr. Cesar just ended the presentation, but I already forgot the half of it. So how I'm going to talk or show the people everything that I heard today. It's amazing, but how am I going to do? Okay, now we have a virtual assistant, a personal verified virtual assistant. It's called Vicky. Vicky is your tailor-made virtual assistant with AI, with artificial intelligence. She answers general inquiries, verified products, compensation plans. It could perform medical exam analysis. For example, if you go to a lab and put a CRP, high sensitivity test, and you took a picture and you put it inside of Vicky WhatsApp, she's gonna describe everything she found and gave you a result. Social media content creation, YouTube video recommendation. Look, there's never been so easy to obtain all of this information and to show it to the people. This is the QR code. I believe everyone should have it. Have a screenshot about this, or ask it, or see it in your back offices. It's in your back offices. And for example, I made a question today to Vicky, Assistente, artificial intelligence. Vicky, I have chronic stress, bad concentration, brain fog, mental tiredness. What could be happening? And she answers, yes, I'm here to help you, provide some guidance. It's important to remember that I can't diagnose medical conditions, chronic stress, and symptoms like pure concentration, brain fog, mental fatigue can be caused by a variety of factors, including lifestyle, diet, sleep patterns, and more. Here are some general suggestions, she said. Nutrition. She tells you what you need to eat, an anti-inflammatory diet. Exercise. Do this, and that. Sleep. Ensure to do this while you sleep. Establish relaxing bedtime routine. Mindfulness and relaxation. Engage in mindfulness practices. Deep breathing exercises. Help to manage stress, etc. Meditation. Consider activities like journaling, pursuing hobbies to help reduce mental fatigue. Suggestions. And at the end, it says Beta 5 products you might consider Nano5 Curcumin Plus. They are designed to support overall well being. Nano5 may help with inflammation, Curcumin Plus also in general health and function. Look, and legal warnings before making any changes, you need to consult a professional, okay? That's the disclaimers that we always have. What I'm just telling you, you don't need to be a doctor anymore. You don't need to answer doctors' questions anymore. You don't need to hesitate. What should I say? Just grab your tailor-made artificial intelligence, virtual assistant, Vicky, and ask her anything. Try it, play with it. And believe me, you're going to have in the palm of your hands 95% of the answers in seconds. Final message, you're not failing emotionally. It's not your character. Your brain is crying out of help. Chronic stress inflames. Healthy lifestyles regulates, and science offers support with Biomass Nano Curcumin. So thank you. If you have any further questions, you could write us an email to wellnessteam@betafy.co. Send your questions, and we are going to answer them right away. So thank you, Tyler. Thank you to the audience, and we're gonna see you forward and see you in the next presentation.